Sorry for getting distracted. I looked at the carpet over here. You were talking about dogs earlier, and I realized that there's dog shit in the corner. So
Oh no!
just like, fucking God. But
That
anyway,
might be the first time there's well, not visible, because if I saw dog shit, I would probably let you know.
I'm seeing it. It's visible as hell right now.
What is up, my friends? Thanks for tuning in. This is another episode of the Scoped Exposure podcast. It's so funny. Like, we've just passed the point of hitting 250 and change episodes, and it's fun to go back and listen to old episodes with people. But there's definitely an era of this show where it was all, everyone's locked down. Shows, the ideas of shows wasn't in the mix of that. So when Jimmy reached out to talk and inquire if I'd be down to talk about World I Hate and the new record that just dropped, as well as the new Judiciary record, this is his second time now on the podcast, I absolutely want to jump to it. Just listening back to our first conversation, which I encourage anyone else to do. He's just a dope dude from the Midwest who's like in hardcore for all the right reasons, in my opinion. And just, I'm very excited to be welcoming him back on the show. So without further ado, Jimmy of World I Hate and Judiciary on the Scoped Exposure podcast for round 2, baby. Thanks for coming back,
My man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah. So Jimmy, this isn't your first rodeo here. You know that we do the bevs before we get into the breakdown. So, I think at the time, I remember on the last time you were on, you had a few bevs to check, but I don't think it was standardized for, it's, my Canadianism to be polite and let the guests go first. So this is the official passing of the bev torch to you. So I'm excited what you got for your second time here on the show.
It's kind of boring, but this is kind of like, I'm a multi-bev man,
Mm-hmm.
I have a plethora at all times. So it's kind of boring, but this is kind of just what I have with me at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Gatorade Zero, the blue. We were just talking about this. This is my sparkling water.
Yes, the Waterloo.
This shit fucking rocks, dude. And the cherry limeade, ridiculous. Get out of here. Yeah. For anybody who drinks, just put a little tequila in there. So fucking lights out. I got some water from the shaker, and I got some Keurig coffee.
This is the 4 horsemen of bevs.
You know how much I pee? I pee so much.
Dude, it's what was it the other day? Oh, I was at a family get together, and there's like, I was kind of exploring my aunt's fridge if she had any like bevs cured away, and then there was like, I think I went through like 5 or 6 within the span of a few hours. And then it was like hidden in the bathroom, every other bev, it felt like. But
dude,
you like, literally hit it all with your bev choices.
Days like this, like my day off, I'll just like keep running back to the Keurig, kind of drinking it like it's water. And by like 4 o'clock, I'm like, dude, going fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The with being out east right now, I've tried to explore some of the different things that we're just not privy to out west. And the Waterloo specifically is something that I've only seen people from out here check. I don't think I've come across it in my bev travels at the moment, but yeah, is the cherry lime the go-to, or is there another flavor you want to plug?
Favorites. I mean, it's the one I've been hanging on to a little bit recently. They make like every flavor, but Wisconsin just started carrying it a couple years ago. I just started seeing it at like Whole Foods and stuff like that. So
Got you.
I've been stocking up, man.
Well, yeah, like there is a Whole Foods in Vancouver, but there's way more out in the Toronto, Mississauga area where I'm staying. So maybe I have to look a little harder.
Give it a check, dude. Pay $78 for a thing at Whole Foods. It's insanely expensive, but it's fucking cool. It's the closest grocery store to me, and I fucking hate walking in there because I'm like the other day I went and I had the bottom of my cart like just a quarter of the way filled up. I had like 7 things, and I'm not shitting you. The cashier was like, "That's $152." I was like, "Fucking what, dude? Goddamn!"
Yeah, like I don't know. Like the first time I went there since being out here, I was like, "Oh, we should like get the little the buffet like load up on something." I was like, "No, no, 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 no. That will ring up your wallet and your credit card real quick. Let alone the groceries that you can get." So,
yeah, dude, it's insane.
Yeah. So I was hyping this this bev up before we hit record, and this has been my favorite thing that I've been able to access being out here, and I only like maybe had one out that way, but like this flavor is like 10 out of 10. Like I feel like it's a unicorn. It's so good. So I'm gonna be drinking from City Seltzer, their honeysuckle jump.
That's a cute ass can, dude.
It's a cute ass can. The first I had they have like a berry flavor, and it has like black currant and blackberry and a bunch of like more bougie kind of berries in it. But this is, Ottawa, and this shit is so good. So the honeysuckle is the flavor of today. And if I had to excommunicate all other flavors, this would be the one to stay. So
is it one of those seltzers where it's not like totally 0 calories? It has like a little bit of juice in there or whatever. Like the spin.
Not like a Spindrift. This is all 0 calories, but I do love me some Spindrift.
I fuck with this for sure.
Yeah. I'm like, there's some part of me that's like, I just need to make some kind of beverage company where I can get all these American companies that I've been able to check out while checking out fests and going on tour.
Scope Seltzer has a ring to it.
Scope Seltzer does have a ring to it. I'll cheers to that.
Cheers.
Here we go. Cheers, bud. Very happy to have you back on, dude. It's been a minute.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a while, man.
Yeah. And, we covered, some of your origin story on the first episode. So I always kind of have a rule, if it's someone's second or third time on the podcast, we kind of leave, we don't want to keep going over all of that, leave some people who are mega fans of you to do the homework. But, after the bev check for a second, round 2 episode, I kind of followed up with like a vibe check. See how are you doing and like what's new since we last talked.
Dude, we last talked over COVID, right?
Yeah. It was like almost 2 years ago, not to the day. I can find out exactly when your episode dropped. But yeah, it's been April 27th, 2021. So over 2 years ago.
Damn. Yeah. Literally like everything has changed for me in my life. I mean, like just like at home stuff, I moved a couple times. I'm a full-time barber now. Things have been great. I got engaged.
Congrats. I saw that.
Thank you. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I got a new dog. Her name is Nancy Sinatra.
Nancy Sinatra. Okay.
Yeah, she's a pit bull. And she's a fucking nightmare. And then we still got our other dog, Winnie, who's a 18-year-old Chihuahua.
Oh, wow.
Dude, we always joke that she's so old, she's seen every war. She's still kicking though. We took her to the vet the other day and they were like, she's fine. Like there's not a damn thing wrong with her. I didn't know like dogs could live that long until we met Winnie. I was like, shit.
Damn, so, shout out to Winnie.
Other than that, just fucking band stuff, man. Keeping it rolling.
Is Winnie named after Winnie the Pooh or just like the name?
My fiance's family, I think her grandmother was named Winnie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that went into place. But she's awesome. She just kind of chills in the blankets all day. She's got 4 teeth and her tongue kind of hangs out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hope that's my vibe when I'm, when it comes to dog and human years. If I'm 80 and I just have 4 teeth and my tongue's hanging out the side,
all you do is just shake and go, fuck. That's
I
what
hope so. Yeah. So, Jimmy, for people that know you, obviously, like, Judiciary is a main band. When we last spoke, we were talking a lot about Low End, and you guys coming up to Canada a few times. But I wanted to kick things off kind of first with World I Hate. And just because you guys put out a new record super, super recently. And it's funny listening back to our old conversation, like, World I Hate was just like fairly a dash in the conversation. It was very, very small. So let's just talk about like the origin of that. I think when we were speaking last time, you had mentioned it was kind of like this project that y'all started and kind of like sat on things because you're like, when is a good time to do this? But it was definitely, it was one of those EPs where it was like, coming from a band from like a lesser, like a non-hype part of the hardcore scene, so to speak, at least at the time, for sure. I think Milwaukee's definitely on a big come up right now. But talk to me about the full bore origin of starting that project and that first record and how things started to come to be.
Yeah. Me and the other guitar player, Thomas, him and I go way back. He played in that band Black Guys from Iowa, if you remember them. Sam and I have known each other for forever. And once he moved to Milwaukee, we just started hanging out all the time. We lived together for a little bit, and him and I always kind of talked about, like, yo, we'll start this like dumb, cool, tough band that just like rips off Mind Eraser and Think I Care, like not even trying to be anything else. Just like fully that.
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't know, we just got bored one day and we just started doing it. We were having trouble finding a drummer at first. And then Thomas mentioned Cody Ratley, who, man, he's
incredible.
He's a tub slapper, dude. Yeah. And like, I've known Cody for a long time too, but like him and I were never like really close. He was always just like, oh, so.
Because Cody used to play in Terrified Eyes, which
he played in a lot of bands. He played in Kingmaker, played in Villains. He played in like stuff that was like hardcore adjacent, more like metal stuff.
Yeah.
And
he's also got a shoegaze project, right?
Shamewave. Yeah. And they're fucking awesome. They're a really good band. And our bassist too, who I also should have mentioned, he was in the original Full With Us, Ben Murderface. He also plays in Shamewave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his bands are pretty crazy. And I kind of knew him mostly from the Shamewave thing. So I thought he was more like a guitar guy. I knew he played drums like years ago. And before we started our first practice, he's like, yeah, I haven't played drums in like fucking 8 years or whatever. And he starts playing, and I was just like, brother.
You just picked that right where you left it, man.
And so we got him. And then the singer part was, I think, the tricky. We sat on that for a little while. We were like, I don't know what we're gonna get. There was this guy from here who played in a couple punk bands that we were gonna try out, and then Thomas mentions, like, what about Hal, who had been living in Milwaukee? He's from he's in the middle of nowhere, like Missouri area. Mm-hmm. But he was living here for a few years. He sang in that band Black Hole. I don't know if you were familiar with them.
No,
they were a couple of years ago. But I remember seeing Black Hole when Crossing was playing around a lot and being like, yo, that front man is fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. He's just this like skinny little nerdy dude that's just like spin kicking the shit out of people and just like rant. He's got like a Weekend Nachos vibe, like tiny guy, but like explosive voice. And once Thomas mentioned Hal, I was like, yeah, let's do that. So we wrote the first EP prior to COVID, and it was all done and locked in. We'd never heard Hal sing before, and then COVID happened. So we were just kind of sitting on this thing, and we're like, I guess let's like book recording time. So once I was in contact with Andy from Bricktop, and once he was comfortable with having people at his studio again, we went down and recorded with him. And thinking back to that whole time period is such a weird thing, isn't it?
Oh, like, dude, yeah.
It's not to distract from what we're talking about, but like, do you remember thinking about like what people were doing at the grocery store when you were like when COVID first started, seeing people like with like fucking scuba gear on and shit?
Yeah, and it's like certain alleys you could only go one way down.
Yeah, it's so weird to think about. But yeah, so we went down there during COVID, and it was like kind of like our first time all hanging out since everything shut down. So all of us were super nervous, especially Andy too. He was just like, all right, like everybody gets tested, like do the whole thing. And so we tracked, we live tracked everything. And then Hal goes in to record vocals. And this is the first time that we've heard him ever. And we were like confident, but we're like, I hope this is good, you know? And he starts barking, and we're just like, that's it. That's it. Yeah, dude, it's just like the perfect fit for this kind of band, you know? He's just like the right kind of sassy and has that like energy, and lyrically it's fucking intense and angry. He's got a point. He's not afraid to like just jump there, you know, if that makes any sense.
Sure. No, I got you.
Yeah, so we recorded the record, and we were all super hyped on it, and then we just sat on it again. That's probably around when you and I talked last, was like, we have this thing that's done, but like it doesn't really make sense to release it right now because it's just gonna like get lost in the wind, you know.
And it sounds like it was a project just for shits and gigs. There was no like goal, like fest goals or touring opportunities or record labels. It was just like, and this is all like subtly pre-COVID as well. So it was even more like, there's nothing at stake at this point.
Especially at the time, like all of us have like a million other obligations, you know? So it was always a thing where like we're all really close and good friends, so let's just do this to have an excuse to hang out and drink beer together. And and like I guess the goal always was, let's just do this when we have time, you know. And if like show offers happen, then we'll just jump on it if it makes sense, but like we're not going to be going out for 4 weeks anytime soon, you know.
Right. So so at what point did you, because I'm trying to remember, because I remember it coming out and we were putting it on the playlist, like the playlist series that we were doing, but I can't recall off the top of my head if that was at the back half of the year, because it was 2020 where that came out, at the very, like towards the tail end of it. And like I would, at least from an outsider's perspective, I think that the response initially was really good, but I think there was people in like the years leading after who were like, yo, have you heard this band World I Hate? And I'd be like, yeah, it's fucked. It's cracked up. So did you feel like it was a slow burn, or like, was it just all explosive right out the get go? Did it have a bell curve? Like,
there was no real expectation from it because the initiative of the band was like, and still is, like, we truly just don't give a shit. And then we were talking at practice the other day, and Hal was saying like, it's weird that like people like this band, and not in like a dickhead way, but he's like, because I truly wouldn't care if nobody liked this band,
right?
You know, so like we're just doing it to be able to hang out, and like our first, so yeah, we released it in 2020 because we're like, let's just get it out there, like whatever. If we play shows, we play shows. If not, whatever. And
if the world burns next year, it is what it is. Go out with the rap.
I think that the first 7-inch was sick because it was like, I'm used to writing especially at the time when we were writing the World I Hate record, I was kind of like head into the Judiciary record, which is a much more like methodical process.
Mm-hmm.
World I Hate record, we have a rule at practice if we're writing. It's like, if we spend more than 10 minutes on a thing, it's fucking trash. Like just
too much brain power.
Yeah. And I think it's it works because from what I've learned in writing, if you over analyze and over process, you take away from your initial like creativity that you bring to the table. It takes away from it, So like,
right.
Yeah, just true ADD music, modern music. But yeah, our first show was the first show back from COVID that happened in Milwaukee, like a hardcore show. And I knew we had something cool when we started playing. Dude, we played at Cactus Club, this venue in Milwaukee, and the place went to fucking shit. It was crazy. And dude, it's wild thinking back to that because at that point I hadn't played a show in like years,
Right.
Yeah, so I had like the pre-show jitters like I've never had before. It was like this like crazy anxiety, and we start playing, and it was just like the place took all their energy they had pent up from COVID and just like left it right there. And I kind of looked at everybody after it said, and I was like, that was crazy.
Yeah. It's so evident that we are living in a really special time right now. And maybe since we're kind of taking a subtle detour, like we'll talk about like the full record, but like, I kind of mentioned in the intro that like I think Milwaukee is definitely having a moment, and I think every scene is definitely seeing a lot of like new kids coming out. Like there's people that haven't gone to shows in a number of years, and again, off of that lack of any access or even the option to do so, maybe they've like wised up a little bit and they're like, I want to try to go a little bit more or as much as I can. Totally. So like, as someone who's like, I don't know, I don't want to just deem old head status to you, but I'm sure that there's a lot of new kids, who are like, when they might not know the Cross Me, or even other bands prior to that. Maybe the only band that they know you through is World I Hate. So like, as someone who's definitely put in a lot more years into your own scene, how has that been for you, to kind of see this just like special time, especially for like, a more underdog spot like Milwaukee or the Midwest?
It's fucking weird, but it's cool, and like, as you get older, you have less time to go to every single show. So like when I was like late teens or early 20s, I would make it a point to be at every single show, no matter what. So I knew like everybody, but now I'll pop into a show as much as I can. But every time I pop in, I'm like, there's like 20 new people there that I've never seen, which is awesome. I think it's fucking rad. And it's just a funny feeling. Like, obviously there's familiar faces, but you're like, where did you all come from? I think a lot of it has to do with what you said, over COVID, like a lot of people making it a point to go out, but a lot of people just stuck on the internet and found these things, like, yo, I want to fucking see what's going on,
Right.
And I think like, I'm sure it's mentioned here all the time, but like the Knock Looses and the Turnstiles and like the bands that are breaking glass ceilings and stuff really kind of, opening that door, and people go down the wormhole, and it's like, yeah, so it's not surprising that I see a lot of new faces. It's funny that you mentioned the Cross Me thing, because World I Hate's record release show Cross Me is playing. And
okay.
My thought behind that was like, I don't think anybody's gonna give a shit, because like they don't know what that is.
Right.
Like we haven't, the last time we played was like LDB, pre-COVID. but to my surprise, everybody's pretty excited about it. So yeah.
And Crossme's also playing doing like a little 10-year celebration at the World I Hate release next month.
Yeah. So that'll be cool. Can't believe that Crossing's been around for 10 years. Like you said, like, I don't know if it's cool to label you an old head, you know, saying stuff like that, like, yeah, it makes me feel like a fucking old head.
Yes. Dude, I remember like, not like it was yesterday, but I remember so vividly, I think when Crossme came up and played Western Canada, I think it was like, it must have been 2013, I guess. And playing Winnipeg.
It's funny because like I feel like an old head because I've been doing this thing for a long time, but I started doing we started Crossing when I was so young. Like I fully remember going on tour without a smartphone. You know, like like using the Garmin thing. You know, like that's just kind of like unheard of now. You're like, yeah, where are we going? We're fucking right here, but. Yeah, I was like 17 when I did my first tour, you know, and we toured like aggressively for a long time. So yeah, I mean, like by age, I'm probably not like the oldest guy in the room, but my back says otherwise, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not like a one-stop reason for someone becoming an old head, but I feel like it's either if it's not your experience, it's just your age. I guess at some point you're like, no, you're an old head. But if you've done like 10 years of work plus, you're definitely an old head as well. So.
Yeah. Well, cheers, brother.
Cheers to all the old heads. It's funny, but, Jordan and I are similar in age, but like he got into hardcore a little later in life. So I feel like he might hit, well, I don't know. Jordan's super active, so he might hit old head status.
You don't mind me asking?
I turned 30 this year.
Hell yeah.
Jordan's having to turn on his mic to tell. Or I don't know.
31.
31. I turn 29 next month.
Dude.
See? Touring ages you. People think I'm like 35. Like, no, man, I'm still in the 20s.
Dude. The people at my job have been incorrectly guessing my age. And I've started to think like, you know, people are like, oh, I'm an old soul. I think I'm a young soul.
You are.
I think hardcore has made me a young soul.
You have and I don't want you to take this in any negative way, but you have like a bubbliness to your personality that I think could be like misconstrued.
Dude, I'm not going to, it's all the bevs.
All the seltzer waters, man.
It's all the seltzer water. That is very kind of you. I appreciate you saying that.
Of course. You little soul.
You young soul, you bubbly young soul. So going back to World I Hate. Yeah. So you guys like put this thing out. Was, I guess, release number 2. Did you have to really like remind yourself to kind of come at the writing process with the same ethos as far as like, this is a fun band. Let's just like, you know, not overthink things. Because I've heard it from some people who've had side projects or new bands that have popped, like they kind of, and they might have just like, you know, written riffs on the fly in the recording studio, and then they're like, oh, maybe for this next one I'm actually gonna like plan things out a little bit more. Or was it like, it's cool if people like it, but we're just gonna, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mentality?
It's gonna be a big like arc answer to that question, but I'm gonna circle that question. So because I've thought about this a lot. I'm like, just like the way that one thing had to happen to get to this thing, but like, I don't think the World I Hate record would have turned out how it did if the Judiciary record wasn't being worked on at that point. And I don't think the Judiciary record would have happened how it did if I didn't write like the Stone thing and then all the low end stuff and the Cross Me stuff. I guess what I'm getting to is that between the Judiciary record and the World I Hate record, it was like 10 years of writing songs to understand how to write songs in a group, you know, and how to, you know, because you bring so much vulnerability in a writing process as like a member of a band, if this makes any sense at all. You're like, this is my take on what should be here as the best idea. This is what I think is right. And you're putting that out there to your friends, and they could very well say, go fuck yourself. It sounds like shit. Right. So like, and it's like, it's an inner creative thing. You're bringing it out. So like, that's why egos get all fucking flustered in a room when you're just like, no, this is the part, you know, but like, for all of Cross Me stuff and a lot of low end stuff, I had trouble like getting my ego down. I was like, no, the riffs need to be like this. You know, everybody kind of just went, whatever. When we were writing with Stone, that was my first real practice at collaborative writing. Like I didn't have a choice. I remember leaving practices like all pissed off because my idea wasn't like the one, you know? And I think that record never got released, but I think that record was cool because it was collaborative. It had pieces like everybody had written in it. And I don't know why it took me a long time to kind of realize like this isn't like my project. This is like we are one collaborative group, you know?
Yeah.
So like fast forward to the writing of the Judiciary record, I was able to kind of like apply that. And like, that was my first time writing with that group of people. And so we just had two different styles of writing, and also throw code in the mix. It was like entirely foreign to all of us. Like, how do we accomplish this one thing? But I remember kind of like applying those lessons I learned from like Stone and stuff into the Judiciary thing, and just being like, this isn't like an attack on anybody. It's like we are one unit trying to do this one thing. Yeah. And so applying that to the World I Hate thing, I had like all this shit going on with like personalized stuff, writing the Judiciary record. And I was in like trying to create this masterpiece mode because of the Judiciary record. And then I go to World I Hate practice, and it's like, we're trying to write a dumb guy record. Yeah. We're trying to appeal to dumb guys. So like, I remember going into that space, being ready to like, be like collaboratively working and like bouncing riffs off each other and like diving way too deep into shit. And then everybody in the band's just like, what if we just do like fast this part? You know? Yeah. So like, but I think like applying that same thing to the World I Hate record really made the record better than I thought it could be. Because like truly there was not an ego in the room. It was like everybody tries their idea out, and if it sucks, then let's go with the best one. You know, it's fine. You know, so it was tricky for me personally to, because of the Judiciary record, have to like lean back into let's just relax and write like whatever comes to mind. But also, you can't write an LP by yourself. Nobody can. It's like the dudes who can do it are like the Isaac Hales of the world, you know? Very few people can be like, oh yeah, and by the way, here's a complete LP that's totally sonically different in every song and is crazy. You know, like you need.
And even then there's times where that's the starting point, but like, you know, you have other members in the band or even a producer that you're kind of working with where you can actually like get it, you know, it might still be version 1, but it might be 1F, you know, like because it's gone through so many iterations. Yeah, for sure.
So I hope that kind of answers your question. It's like, I had a hard time remembering that this was the Dumb Guy project and to like not be stressed out.
Right.
But I was able to bring something to the table with the other dudes from those other records, being like, it doesn't have to be just this thing. It doesn't have to be your part or your part. Like, let's just write a Dumb Guy record. You know, it's fine. And everybody in World I Hate has such a different palette for music. And I love that the record really I think encapsulates that. Like Cody's favorite band ever is the Beach Boys.
Okay.
And like, not exaggerating, like he's obsessed with the Beach Boys. And there are a couple, you can hear it on the World of Hate records, like that, like a lot of those parts.
Okay.
Which is cool. You never hear that in like hardcore records.
Totally.
So like, stuff like that being thrown in there, it's fucking cool. Just kind of letting everybody's tastes come out,
Yeah, I think that's definitely like, there are some bands that just have that from day one, and they have that like super collaborative, like, they shut the jam space door and it's just like this melting pot of ideas and like, almost like putting a car together and then breaking it down and rebuilding it like all at the same time. Yeah. And some people have that like, that chemistry, but I would argue that most of the time they have probably more years of experience than someone who's starting a very, they're very new to hardcore. Maybe it's their first hardcore band ever.
Yeah. And I think sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, I think you're right. It usually takes a lot of practice to be able to, it seems like kind of counterintuitive, but like come to practice and just have an initiative, but not necessarily a path to get there, Yeah. And like a good example of that is at my barbershop, there's my boss, his son, he's 14 years old. His name's Julius. I'm sure he'll listen to this. Hi, Julius. He just got into metal, like hardcore metal music last year. Mm-hmm. And it's so fun to watch him because he is like fucking obsessed. Like every fleeting thought he has is like fucking this Entombed record, or like he's just jacked, and like
he's in that like overwhelming joy discovery stage.
Yeah, like he's young enough yet where like there's no thought of like the opposite sex or going outside, or it is just like I want nothing more than to listen to this fucking Slayer record. And like through me and through like Spotify, like suggested, he's discovered so much hardcore music. And it's funny because like, have you listened to like Inclination? I'm like, yeah, those are like some of my very best friends for a long time. And he just goes, but to get to the point, he started a band recently. It's called Sacrificial. It's a death metal band. So like all 13, 14-year-old kids. And they got 7 songs, and he's just like, it needs to be perfect. Like he's like talking to me about band stuff. It's like everything, like this drummer says that this part sucks, but no, it's the right. I'm like, dude, you'll figure it out. This is your first go. So like the people who are just trying it for the first time, they think it needs to be like this like masterpiece, but it's just fucking not gonna be. It's just not. It's not. You're gonna learn how bad it sucks when you're starting to write the next record. Mm-hmm. That's a breathy example, but yes, that's like what I was alluding to.
Yeah. Well, I think going back to the main arc where we started, like I think the first thing, at least from what I was hearing from you, is that like every project that you're involved in, even if they're in totally opposite like genre camps, you could be in a death metal project and like, a run for cover pop punk-esque kind of project, but there are always going to be different things that you can take, either writing or just like the actual like, like going and playing shows aspect of the band. All those are work in tandem and with each other, and your experience like just kind of like snowballs and builds on itself.
Yeah,
so totally. That to me is always encouraging, like where there are some projects that I start now where it might be someone else's first or second band, and I come into the picture with like more like 7, 8, maybe even 9. I've lost count at this point, but like all that other experience where it's like, oh no, like, a part like this, we should like, not try to overcomplicate it. It does get a little interesting because since you've been on the podcast, like I think about when Will Putney, he came on the show, and, not only a fantastic engineer, but like a great producer of so many great records that, both you and I and a lot of the people listening to this podcast love. And his quote was like, you know, my one rule when we're in the studio is like always just try something once. You know, if someone has like a crazy idea and it sounds like so off the beaten path, let's just try once and see if it works. And if not, we just move on. And he said that like letting the best ideas win is kind of like, you know, the most, like, that is kind of like the most important thing when it comes to that. So it's not about your part or Steve's part or Stacy's part or any of that. It's like whatever's the best thing. Obviously, the best thing might be different from person to person, but you know,
at the end of the day, it's a project that you're in that also everybody else in the band is in, and it's not a winning or losing thing. Like,
right?
It's like we're creating this one thing together, and it took me a long time, I think, to like grow out of that, like literally grow out of that, because I was in the Julius mindset of like, I'm trying to write this crazy thing that's different and all these other things. I wasn't just letting it be, you know. So circling back, that was the World I Hate record, you know. It was a lot less stressful writing the World I Hate record than the Judiciary record, mostly for the reasons of like COVID, and I had to fly to Austin all the time, so like doing that jump mid COVID was kind of stressful too, you know.
Right.
But I think it shows in both records for sure, like the amount of like bullshit we all had to put up with, you know.
Yeah, I think the other thing when it comes to like the whole like writing process, because I've definitely like I've been in projects where I'm the primary like songwriter, and then, you know, some people would be like, yep, that sounds good, or they would like suggest or like do a little lead thing. And like some of my early bands, like I was so like stuck to my guns all the time, and I would almost like challenge people, being like, well, what ideas do you have? But they wouldn't have really anything fresh to bring to the table.
We've all been that fucking guy, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's no right or wrong way. Like if you're in a band where like all the members of the band are like cool with you fucking riding the ship and it works, like whatever, you know. But just from like my experience, I guess I'm speaking that like it's too stressful to be the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've said, like, if there was someone else, like when in Calgary that was like, hey, I'm starting an X kind of band and I just need someone to play bass, but like you know, I've written the demo, I've done all this. Like, as someone that's like, you know, once I get into something that is mine, whether it's like this podcast or some of my bands, I get into the weeds of it. I am more than happy to be passive and be like, cool, I'm just here to show up and play the breakdowns. Like, sign me up. Because it's one less thing that I have to like, okay, I need to set aside time for, and I can just show up and enjoy the fruits of that.
That's literally what World I Hate is to me. Yeah. It was a good feeling. I suppose with Judiciary too in some capacity, but just getting older, you kind of learn like what you love, what you hate, you know. And through Cross Me and like low end stuff, I realized I just like I feel like I'm an effective band daddy, but fucking hate doing merch. I'm not that good at it, you know. Like I hate doing like the merch designs and the rollouts, and like I hate doing like, you know, keeping up with social and stuff like that. So like in joining Judiciary and then kind of applying it to World I Hate, I was just like, yeah, man, I'll show up and write as much as I need to, and I'll fucking talk to some homies, get us on some shows, but fucking do designs, fucking go crazy. Consider me a yes, you know, if you need an opinion from the whole band, I'll be on board. I don't give a fuck, you know.
Yeah.
There's like what you're saying, like clearing up the bandwidth, just showing up and just being like, this is what I'm good at doing, so I'll stick to that. Y'all, you know, figure that shit out.
Yeah. Sometimes band daddies just need some projects to be like more just playing some, you know, playing some golf, you know, like versus like I have to run a family, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool that World I Hate gigs and just being in the band is more like checking out than checking in, if that makes any sense. It's just like, I gotta do this for like pure enjoyment. I don't have much responsibility. It's just fun. It's cool. Yeah. And I think it shows in the music too. It's just fun, you know?
Mm-hmm. So you guys start working on this next record. Was there like thoughts of like, let's go right to an LP, or like, let's do a second EP? Like, was there a specific reason you guys wanted to do like, you know, the full kind of gamut of something?
Yeah, I think there was like a small conversation. I think I was the one that suggested the LP out the gate. And I can't really recall like the definitive reason why. I think I was just like, well, we could write these songs easy, you know, mm-hmm. with the 10-minute rule. Like, fuck it, you know. And it's a lot easier to write a record, I think. I mean, writing any record is not an easy thing, but like the style of World I Hate is a little bit less complex than the Judiciary stuff. So like, yeah, man, let's just fucking do it. Let's do it and then play some cool shows and do it until somebody quits, and then we'll all quit. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. What was the original question? Sorry, I got distracted because
well, we were just talking about, you know, because doing a full LP is like way different than just writing 4 to 6 banging songs, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're totally. Like, you know, you're trying to figure out like, okay, are any of these like, you know, because even like there are some records where it's like you could be a stickler and be like, oh, is this interlude just to fill the slot? But it's like sometimes a record needs, you know, some time to be able to take a breath from like certain riffs and kind of go down another, you know, genre lane just to showcase, hey, we can do this also. And now we're back to our main program, you know?
Yeah. Sorry for getting distracted. I looked at the carpet over here. We were talking about dogs earlier, and I realized that there's dog shit in the corner. So.
Oh no!
Just fucking. But anyway,
it might be the first time there's not visible, because if I saw dog shit, I would probably let you know.
I'm seeing it. It's visible as hell right now. But no, I think that like an EP versus an LP, there's more of an art form. And this is another thing I learned with like earlier records I was trying to write when I was younger. Like there's an art form in like the arc of the record and how it flows, mm-hmm. and like the song sequencing, and like you can have like 12 songs that all bang, but if they're all like the same structure or the same tempo, you know, people sleep by song 3, you know. So how do you create that like flow with it, you know? The song ends super heavy, so let's like next song start punching the face like really fast, you know, stuff like that. And I think that circling back to the question earlier, that was another thing I was able to bring to the World I Hate writing sessions, was being a little bit more methodical about like, okay, well, we have these songs that do this, so let's try to write, maybe like we'll have like a board up or whatever, maybe for like song 5 we can do something that's like just stompy, angry, you know, mm-hmm. or like be more intentional about how it's going to flow, you know, like what the sequencing is going to be,
right?
You know,
no different than when you're writing on a set. You're like, okay, this song ends with like, you know, a mid-tempo breakdown. Either like it's maybe not the move to keep it mid-tempo or slower. Maybe we need to like bring the energy back up. Like, you know, I get very like specific about how things are going to be rolling when I'm building a set together. Because like, you know, and if you can apply the same thing for an album, you know.
Yeah, it is the same. It's kind of like the same thing, you know. It's like, I mean, not in that way, but like when you're writing a set, you're thinking about like, how are people going to react to this? And like, right. I think in writing a record, you have to be consciously thinking like, if you're on the way to work in your car, popping on a quick record, how are you going to react to that, you know?
And how can you make someone stay past track 3 and go all the way to track 9 or 10?
That's the thing. And it's even harder now because of the fucking Spotify algorithms and like the access to so much music. I've been, not to like entirely derail, I feel like whoever listens to this podcast who isn't in a band at this point is just like fucking asleep. But
wake up.
Yeah, I was talking at my job recently about like how I really want to start getting into more like buying vinyl and like buying records again, because I've also fallen victim to like the Spotify thing where it's like boring, boring, boring. And like I find myself not giving records the chance that they deserve.
Right.
Because I have the option. She's like, it's not for me. Like literally the other day, I was like, it was like some fucking like indie record. I was like, maybe this will be cool. First 10 seconds, I was like, no. But like you're not like getting into like any arc of the record, you know. So
right. You're not even giving it a
chance. Buy the World I Hate record.
And listen to it front to back.
Listen to it front to back. It's 12 minutes of Hal yelling about stuff.
Last point on the record that I want to hit on is y'all put it out through War Records, which is through friend of the show, Mr. Strife himself.
Mr. Strife.
Yes. How did that, like, was the idea when you guys were doing an LP, you're like, should we put it out on something? Like, should we try to like send it around? Like, what was the conversations for that?
Yeah, we were hitting up, like kind of leveraging resources, I suppose, like hitting up people we knew, and weren't really getting any bites because at the time we didn't have anything besides the 7-inch. I couldn't be like, here's the thing, you know. Yeah, we're having trouble finding somebody to put it out. And I knew Andrew. I never actually formally met him in person until recently, but he was going to do stuff for Low End, and then the world shut down, so that kind of went quiet. And I think Thomas one day brought it up. Do we know anybody like War Records? And I was just like, we should have gone there first. What the fuck? Like I know that guy. I'm so stupid. So I think I shot him a text, Andrew, who was a badass guy. I was like, hey man, I have this thing. Like, would you have any interest in it? And it was just like, yeah, well, yes. There was no like second guessing anything. There wasn't any like, let me sit on it. I was just like, yeah, sure, let's do that. That sounds awesome. I love your band. Cool. And it was cool. I finally was able to meet him recently when Judiciary was playing out in California.
Right.
Got some tacos. I just punished him about Strife for a while. And yeah, he's a cool
Where
dude.
did he take you for tacos, if you don't mind me asking?
There's a venue there right across the street from the venue. The venue is this record shop called Midnight Hour, I believe.
Yeah.
I forget what part of LA because it all gets like jumbled in my brain.
Yeah. I think that's it's like up towards where like the God's Hate like 818 crew is.
Yeah, the Taylor Young.
Not San Fernando. Is it San Fernando? I'm sorry to all the Californians who are just like
one of the valleys.
Yes.
As a Midwest guy, I don't know the difference, but Taylor Young said he lived 15 minutes away from there.
Yes. Yeah.
So somewhere close to that. So the taco place right across the street. Couldn't give you the name. It kind of vibed like an Applebee's, but like that served tacos a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Andrew's fucking cool. He's a really cool dude. He's got a lot of crazy stories. That was pretty much, we talked about World of Hate stuff for like 10 minutes, and I was just like, so what's the craziest like Strife shit that you ever fucking yeah.
Yeah. The reason I was asking about the taco stuff is the before Scope 5 when they played that, I met him for the first time when I was out in California for work, and he took me to a dope taco spot. And there was no, I think it was still like kind of weird times where it was like no like inside seating. It was like all to go stuff. So like, you know, he like we're talking about us being old heads. He like, you know, he's in a new echelon of that.
That dude's been around.
Right. But, despite any age, he's like still a hardcore kid and will get tacos and then just sit on the little, cement thing for the parking spaces, and we're just eating tacos.
Which is so fucking rad to me. Like, he was talking to me about, we got into like, real life conversation and stuff like that. He's in real estate.
Yeah.
And he was talking to me about like, yeah, man, like I leverage my relationships that I have made in hardcore music for my real life job every day, all the time. He's like, there's fucking dudes who I know in Philly who are moving here and will like hook up with agents. And like, I'm like, that's, the world of heavy music kind of expands outward,
Right.
Wow. He's a great dude. I like him a lot. He's done a lot for us. And I think he's as excited about the record as we are. So
that's always great to hear.
Yeah.
Has he been able to see you guys live? Has he been able to see World I Hate live or not yet?
Not yet. But we're trying to get out to California and do a couple shows. It just has to like line up with everybody's like PTO and old guy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Real old head stuff.
Real old head stuff. PTO. Judiciary is on the
not
same.
Not POT. Yeah. This is not pain of truth we're talking about.
No. We're talking about paid time off, brother. And a allotted amount of days you get to fuck off in a year.
Right.
I don't have that. I'm a barber. I can just fucking go whenever.
Right. So we talked a lot about World I Hate stuff. Did we talk about on our last conversation about how you playing in guitar and Judiciary came to be, or did we not hit on that? It was just like, oh yeah, we just have. Because I know when Jake came on, it was like, maybe I asked Jake about that, but I can't remember. Can you correct any records that have been either unsaid or missaid by me?
It's a crazy full circle thing. One of Crosby's first tours, we're going out west. We were playing routing dates with this band, Blood Stands Still, which is they're an older band. Check them out, I guess. But we got booked in Lubbock on purpose. I'd never heard of Lubbock before this, and we played Jake's, and that was Judiciary's first show.
Oh,
and
okay.
Because I didn't learn this until years later, touring with them, like as a fill-in. But like they told me, yeah, when the Crosby demo came out, they were like fucking obsessed with it, which is weird for me to hear Israel, who is like a guitar god, say that he was looking up to my riffs at the time.
Right.
My
ADHD hardcore riffs.
Yeah, because I'm like, brother, I'm trying to keep up with you right now.
Right.
But yeah, they really liked Crosby, so that they really wanted to play that show. It was Mongrel, who was members of Ivy League. It was their hardcore side project, which was fucking crazy good. It's on Bandcamp still. Check that shit. Judiciary, Crosby, Blood Stands Still, and maybe I'm forgetting one, but I never actually met any of them at that show. It just like fucking right over my head. We were hanging out with the Ivy League dudes the entire time. And then years later, Stone took them on tour, Judiciary on tour. So that's when we really kind of became buddies. And we just kind of like remained in touch. And then Stone broke up really fast. And I was down in the dumps. And I think we actually might have talked about this on the last podcast, but I'll make it a brief.
Yeah.
Stone was supposed to do Knocked Loose's first headliner. It was like supposed to be Stone, Jesus Piece, Terror, Knocked Loose. And then I think Year of the Knife got on because we disbanded. Yeah. So I was like, man, that would have been the craziest fucking tour I've ever done ever. I think that tour sold the Palladium out in the big room. Like it was like, wow. That was when Knocked Loose started to go, wow. So yeah, Jake hit me up and it felt like it was the middle of the night. And he calls me and he's just like, hey, favor. And I was like, what's up? And he's like, we're supposed to be touring Europe and our fill-in bass player can't come. And Stone just broke up. So I know you got nothing going on. And is there any way you can come to Europe with us? I remember like asking when it was, and he said something. I might be exaggerating, but I think he said like it's in like 6 days or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
I was like,
single digits amount of
notice. Yeah. And I was like so eager to get away from, not in like a dickhead way, but I wanted to get away from the Knock Loose tour as much as possible because it was just going to bum me the fuck out.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, let me call my boss. And I just told my boss, like, I need to do this and I'm just going to go do this. So, and he was like, see you later. And so I flew to Amsterdam like a week after that phone call, having not really spent truly any time with these guys. I was just like, we'd like toured together, but we never existed in a space like that together. Right. And I flew to Amsterdam, met up with them and toured for like 5 weeks out in Europe. And then we really became like they're all my best friends now. Like I love everybody in Judiciary so much. But like at the time I was like, we're like kind of the same people. This is pretty cool. Right. They're like the kind, I mean, no disrespect to anybody I've played in a band with prior, but like we're all relatively the same age. We all come from a similar place and kind of came about hardcore music in similar ways. And like, they just like, they're just my kind of dudes, you know? So they brought me on tour a bunch to fill in. And then 2019, around 2019, I get a call from Austin. It's funny because I was like, it was at another point where I was just like, do I get like a job? Like, do I get like go get like a fucking sales job or some shit? And Austin called me. He's just like, hey, you want to be in Judiciary? And I was just like, yeah, dude, I was fucking good. So that's kind of how that happened. But it's crazy how full circle it is thinking about it. Like them getting their hands on a Cross Me demo that I wrote in my small town, thinking that it was shit. And now I join the band trying to keep up with those fucking musicians. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. That is very cool. Yeah, I'll have to go back and some of that info I'm like, I don't know if we actually talked about that or not. It was just like, oh yeah, like Jim's the Milwaukee dude that plays in this Texas band also, But
it's a cute story. It's full circle.
Yeah. Has there been kind of like, has there been any thoughts or anything where you're like, am I gonna try to transition to like live in Texas with being in this band that's very, very full time and has a lot going on of things? Or,
I think about it every day in the winter in Wisconsin.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, like my fiance loves Austin as well, and every time I'm in Austin, which is where Judiciary is based out of, I'm like, dude, why don't I fucking live here, man? And then I look at rent prices, I'm like, that's why I don't live here, man.
That's why.
But no, it's fucking. We've thought about it a couple of times. It's just like right place, right time type thing. And get my barber's license officially, which is like a 2-year process here, and then we'll kind of reconsider a couple things. But yeah, I'm really fucking sick of winter. I'm sure you get it, Canadaman.
Dude, it is like the fact that I'm here for the summer, but I know that I'm like kind of trying to figure out a way like when we're going to go back kind of before the winter strikes. And then it's like, do we push through and just like have a non-winter winter? Because like snow will get on the ground, but it'll be gone within a few days. When it's out west, it's like, no, it's there for months on end.
Dude, did we talk about last time the shittiest drive I've ever had to do, and everybody in Judiciary has ever had to do in Canada, outside of Calgary?
Oh, well,
I think
Jake brought that up on his episode multiple times.
Dude,
yeah,
fucking nightmare. I thought like, I'm not going to give the whole story because just listen to Jake's episode.
Yes.
But like, I thought that I was like, all right, dude, fucking, I'm going to come to the rescue for these guys because they're from Texas and they don't know snow like I know snow.
Right.
Like, I'll fucking do that the whole way. I'll be cruising through this fucking shit.
Yeah. Excuse me. Make way for the Midwester.
Dude, you guys get different kinds of snow up there. It was like
that day specifically was very fucked up.
Yeah, and the route, I had the bright idea, which in hindsight was a terrible idea, of because I was watching the radar of the storm and where we were going, we'd just be following it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, let's just shoot straight south from Calgary. Like we were like probably an hour outside of Calgary.
Yeah, you guys were like, I think, stuck on the highway just out of like Canmore or Banff or something.
Yeah. And I was like, yo, let's just shoot straight south, get into the States through Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we can like miss the storm. And I didn't think to even look, but the road that was the southern heading road was like, I pulled up to it. It was like 2 wire fences and just dirt. And the dirt
covered
tracks,
in snow.
they were disappearing really fast from the snow. And we were supposed to be on it for, I think like, it was like 60 some miles to get on this road. And I was driving, and that's when it hit me. I was like, oh my God, like Midwest snow thing is different, you know, different. But
dude, yeah.
Yeah.
But
man.
you guys, you know, outside of the Calgary show, which there is literally no way that you guys could have been able to make it. You made every other show on that tour, I believe, right?
Yeah. We fucking rolled up to Fargo, battered and beaten.
Like an hour before you're supposed to play, right? Like
like Vane just finished playing.
Oh, okay. So they was literally like roll up. All right, let's bring the instruments on stage.
Yeah. We had to fucking headline over Vane that night. And we all fucking got out of the van like bloodshot eyes, like just set out right away and ripped it. Probably sounded fucking terrible. And then I want to say we got in the van and drove another like 6 or 7 hours immediately after that.
Man, hardcore's crazy.
It really do be crazy.
It really do be. Shout out to Vane for being like, yeah, we'll play. Because, yeah, like, with peace and love, like, there's no other way where Judiciary and Vane are doing that order.
I love those guys. That band fucking rocks, dude.
Dude.
And I know they have their fair share of horror stories, like the Twitching Tongues thing in Europe. I'm sure you know about that, with like them not getting paid.
Oh, no, I'm not aware. I've been trying to get a Vane podcast like pretty much not since day one, but for a long time now. Now that I feel like I can interview like the bigger people in bands, and to be fair, because you know, I think it's important for me to say shit on the podcast that serendipitously it might be able to come up and someone in the Vane camp might be listening and be like, oh, that's true. The last time they played Calgary, I spoke, oh man, what's the singer's name?
Anthony?
Yeah. I talked with him and he remembered when I filmed them the last time they came through Calgary. And I don't know, this was when they were on that Touche tour. And like the day before, their drummer like broke his hand in like a million pieces.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like, I know that you're doing your thing. I don't know how this is going to go. Cause they had like literally like Ian from Regional Justice Center filling in on drums, like members of Touche. Like it was just like literally the, just getting as many people to help make the set work. And like, that's a hard band to like fill in for with 24 hours notice.
The tall order, dude. Matt is he's an incredible fucking drummer. And yeah, it's a tall order to fill.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and the set was awesome.
Those dudes, they'd be fucking more than happy to come do a podcast.
Yeah. I respect that they're a type of band and individuals where they're not like jumping at every single opportunity. So there's someone, in my opinion, that I feel like I'm on my way to earning an episode, and it will be that much sweeter once we get there. But Anthony, if you're listening, let's Let's make
Be happy to do it.
mine and Jimmy's wishes come true.
They're all really nice guys.
Yes. Another very recent thing outside of like the actual Judiciary record is like, you guys did a string of, California, Texas shows as well, playing with Dead Body and a bunch of other dope bands. As the non-local Texas, member of the band, how was that experience for you to play in Lubbock? And like, I'm sure for all those guys, like you were probably just had front row seat to see their excitement for a show like that.
The Lubbock show was fascinating. It was. I mean, the town itself is like an island, right? It's like out there, but it's a college town. So the attendance of the show was a combination of a lot of metal dudes, a lot of just like show goers, a lot of people being like, this is something to do,
Sure. Okay.
And a lot of like other members of Judiciary, like their family, friends, people they grew up with, all that shit. I think I said something to Juan, who he lives in Dallas. He's not from there either. I was like, dude, I feel like, because him and I had no jitters. It was just like, oh, this would be fucking cool show. There's a lot of fucking people here. But all of them, you're playing in front of the people you got something to prove to, so they're like, my fucking friends and family are here. Like them being Austin, Jake, and Israel. They're fucking so anxious. But it was really, with them being my best friends, it was really cool to see their reaction to our set, and like really owning it and being like, we did, draw 500 people in our hometown, like kind of subtle fuck yous to everybody in that place that said they couldn't, also Israel's old band, they're called Heaven's Final War. They played like a little surprise 2 songs with they also shared members with that Flesh Rot band. And the coolest part of that whole Texas weekend was them doing that surprise set and seeing Jake from the merch just go, no fucking way, and jump and just start fucking losing it. And Austin being side stage, like ear to ear, smiling, singing every word. And I was like, I don't know what this is. My friends are so happy right now. It's just fucking cool,
Yeah.
And Israel's up there just fucking being cool and handsome and strong, like, all those things.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. It's funny. I guess like I'm only thinking about it now, but like it's way more common for when you're a band and you're on tour and you're all, the set means kind of the same thing because you're all like, it's your first time playing in like a random town and you have a crazy reaction and you're all like sharing in that excitement together. And then there's times where like, I know when any of my bands hopefully will play Winnipeg where I'm from, it's like way different for me because like I'm looking at, everyone that has either been writing for me, since I was like this nerdy little like metalcore, like pop punk kid, like discovering hardcore, and now it's come full circle. And then the people that doubted me along the way at the same time. But like for them, it would just be like, yeah, Winnipeg's dope, So it is an interesting thing to be able to play shows and have it be an enhanced experience, or the stakes are just a little bit more raised person to person, depending on their experience, their life, where they grew up, this, that, or the other.
Yeah, man. Like if I was saying to them, I was like, yeah, if this show was in Milwaukee, I'd be shitting myself right now. But yeah, it was the Texas shows were fucking incredible. The California shows were incredible. Xavier from Vamakara and Pondstone helped us put together the whole thing and posted up at his house in California. And Dead Body's such a good band. It's stupid. Like We did it for the Texas shows too. I was saying to all the boys, I was like, we got to stop picking such good ass bands to fucking open for us, dude. Because like Inclination did the Texas shows,
right?
And like they're fucking that band,
right?
And then Dead Body, who I love their recordings. I obviously had never seen them before. Yeah, the first show in the Bay Area, I hear them start playing, and I just go, motherfucker. Like they sounded so fucking good. And like I haven't spent a ton of time with like any of those dudes. I've met like Colin a few times beforehand, but every day after the set, I'd be like, you guys are really good at your jobs. You're like fucking good at your jobs,
Mm-hmm.
So they're incredible. Great band, really funny dudes.
Yeah.
Had a lot of tacos, had a lot of hangs. Went to Vegas, played Vegas for the first time, which is weird. Like you'd think Vegas is like a big stop on tour, but I've never made it. And it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vegas is sick. Really, really young scene. To put it in context, I was like getting changed in the van, and I overheard a conversation between like 8 dudes, and they were talking about who could grow facial hair yet. Like that's
oh God.
That's how young it is in Vegas. And
right.
They beat shit out of each other to every band. It was awesome.
Yeah.
We had a great time.
Yeah, we did an interview recently with Piper, who sings for a band from Vegas called Roman Candle. And definitely a hardcore band, but also a band that's playing and being able to touch other subgenres, whether it's screamo or like punk or whatever. But we got into it a lot in her episode about like the Vegas scene and just how things are really thriving right now out there, despite maybe them only having 1 or 2 venues that they're choosing. But yeah, it's going back to your point about like bringing on bands that are like putting the fire in your butt to like, oh, I actually have to really bring my A game to this, because this band is like, I want to. There is that like competitive side, competitive in the way of just being good and not just like, oh, let's just bring a band on tour that we're all homies with them, but they're kind of a mid band as far as performance wise. Like you want to have it.
Yeah. Dead Body and Inclination both are fucking really good at their jobs. Incredible. Yeah.
Speaking of jobs, a big, there's been a big gap of time since you've been on the pod here, Jamie, but something that I noticed, just keeping up with what you were doing, is that you kind of swapped careers as far as what you were doing from, bartending, which, on the last episode we had like the whole like tiki bar, set up and all of that. Yeah. And now you're cutting hair. So like, in what frame of time were you kind of thinking like, I want to switch it up? Did that come like kind of unexpectedly? Has that been something you were thinking for a while?
That was kind of what I alluded to in the beginning of the episode when I was like, everything has changed. But so I think around that time that I last spoke to you, we were doing that tiki bar thing, and I was trying to be one of the owners of it. So me and the GM of that spot, we're gonna open it with the other owners there. And yeah, it was kind of like everything was happening, and I kind of took a long thought for a minute, and I was like, dude, I don't see myself behind a bar at age 40, And if you're a bar owner, that's just it's all you do, And he ended up, what would have been like my partner, he ended up opening it it's on the rooftop of this hotel downtown, and he's fucking crushing it. He's doing so good, and I'm so happy for him. It's the same tiki bar concept. But yeah, he's crushing it. He's doing his thing. And yeah, I mean, like, he got engaged, and being out till 4 a.m. most nights it doesn't make any lady happy. So,
right.
And barbering scratches a lot of the same itches. You're creative. You're just talking to people, hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
I always joke with my clients. I'm like, there's barbers are in the business of getting people laid, man. That's it. Make you look how you need to, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been awesome, man. It was a grind as fuck at first, because you're like, the analogy I always gave is like, somebody handed you a guitar and you've never played a guitar, and they said, this is how you make money now. Every day, do that. And you're like, but I don't know how to play. And they're like, that's crazy. That's how you make your living. So you're like trying to learn this thing, like how to do this thing. Also, that is your income. So you're like, you better get fucking good quick, man.
Right.
And, yeah. So I got my reps up, you know, got my clientele built up, and we're chilling.
Yeah.
Getting people paid.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. They come back. They're like, it worked. Let's go again.
It worked. Let's do it. It's funny. My boss used to, he doesn't do it anymore, but on his clients, or on the client's way out, he'd be like, hey, throw a pump in for me. And they'd be like, and they would come back and be like, dude, me and my wife were intimate and I fucking thought of you.
You're like, that's a weird compliment, but I'll take it.
Yeah. Like, well, I had to stop doing that. But
yeah,
man, I really enjoy where I'm at right now, as far as like career stuff, and the bartending stuff is cool. I can enjoy it now from a little bit more of a distance, you know?
Right.
And support my friends that are fucking crushing it, doing their own thing. And
yeah.
Also, like, doing hair is one of those things where you can just take it anywhere. So like, if we do decide to go to Texas down the road, that's like, I'll have no problem, you know, finding.
Yeah. So yeah, and I guess, like, you know, there are some places that I've got my haircut before where, you know, sometimes they'll have some kind of, like, it's within, you know, a bar where it's like, hey, after this, you want to get a beer or whatever, you know, that's right there. So
yeah, dude. But just living, man.
Yeah.
Yes. Surrounded by bars.
Going back to where we were talking about Andrew, and he was saying, yeah, like, I've, you know, within real estate, I've just been able to leverage all the contacts and stuff, and just like disciplines that I've learned through being in hardcore through my real job. Like, was that, like, I'm guessing that you probably have done a similar thing with that, which I think is dope, that you're able to kind of like, hey, I have a new project if you want to check it out. And then at the same time, maybe later on, you're like, hey, I started this company, or I do this now, or I'm a tattoo apprentice. Like, was that was that the first time that you did that, A, and B, did you realize how beneficial that was going to be for kind of this new venture for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think I learned a lot of life lessons, doing band stuff and touring from a young age, that I think I apply to like my everyday. Mm-hmm. I haven't really gotten to leverage any of like the business mindset stuff with barbering yet. I definitely leverage like the work ethic and like just taking L's, you know, like, just luckily I have enough friends that don't give a fuck what they look like, you know, that when I first started, you know, I was sitting in the chair, this will take 2 hours, you know, but like, I got to learn how to fucking cut hair, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Just like leveraging, I guess, the grind mentality, you know? But once I'm like the next evolution to where I'm at now, you know, because I'm still technically a barber apprentice. It's like a 2-year type thing.
Right. Where are we at in that 2-year journey?
It got a little bit held up because of like touring with Judiciary. I pushed it back because I was like, I need to play Hellfest. I'm not going to not play Hellfest.
Respectfully, I totally get that.
But yeah, so I'm a little bit over halfway done.
Okay.
So yeah, once I have my proper license, then I think a lot of those other things I'll be able to kind of leverage and put into the fold. But
totally,
yeah, I kind of just live that way. It stresses my fiance out. Just like kind of like, let's go, let's do this. We could do this, or we can like do this. You know, she's just like, how about we fucking just nap, brother?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we were talking on our last conversation about, and I totally feel the same way, where it's like, I feel like a shark and I need to constantly be moving because I know that if I stopped, I would just die. And it's very challenging for me to find balance and take normal breaks. And, you know, but I'm only recently starting to kind of like get a handle on that a little bit more.
Me too, man. It's hard for people like us, I think, to tactfully pause, if that makes any sense. Like,
dude, I couldn't have said that better. Absolutely.
I've been really trying to, practice just like, I need my fucking chill time, like, because especially when you start fucking teetering 30 up, it's like you start to just fucking burn out, dude. Like, you know, and the problems like just stack more, and you're like putting out fires everywhere. You need a little time. You need go get your cup of mud in the morning, go and chill. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything you're saying is exactly what I'm feeling and going through as a pretty fresh 30-year-old myself. But, you know, definitely being aware of it is like step one for me right now. And I think definitely into steps 2 and 3 of like putting systems in place not to just like spiral and flail and be.
What does Spencer's chill time look like? What's your like zone out activity?
Man, it's a good question. I think it can't like, it's strange because there are definitely things that people do creatively to de-stress and escape. And for me, it's like, I do too much creative stuff where that is not the space for me, you know?
Really? You need something like tactile, like just like
I think for me, it's like I need to do something that's like still keeps my brain in that like, you know, hamster wheel, but it's like there's no real stakes at play. It's like me playing a board game with like my brother who's living across the street, or like watching, like not just watching like a Netflix show because he'll just like burn and turn and you feel like you waste, but like intentionally picking a really great movie to watch.
Yeah.
Like we watched Shawshank Redemption like a couple nights ago, and like I felt way better about doing that versus burning through 6 seasons of like just whatever, you know, Amazon Prime show.
Shawshank's a heavy watch to relax to, but I respect it. No, I mean, I feel you. Like I'm the same way where sometimes like with having to be creative in a workspace so much, like your brain just jumps to, I'm not relaxing. Like I need to be, you know, having something produced, you know, like,
right.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'll bust out puzzles on my phone all the time. That's my shit. Or just scroll through fucking TikTok like it's nobody. My fiance will just laugh at me because I'll be in the corner of the room just giggling to myself. So what are you doing? Like it's a dog.
Yeah, it's a dog. You know, like I think I started watching a lot of people that work at like Lego Discovery Centers across America, and like their job is to literally be in this booth and just like make Lego shit all day long. And it could be anything from like some nameplate for someone in the office to like, hey, can you build a giant bonsai tree? Yeah, sure. And then they like make videos about it. So I
wonder if I'd love or hate that. Yeah, I wonder if like after a year of doing that, it's more of like a fucking fine. I'll build the massive transformer. You know, that's wild.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've been eating up some of this one dude who's based out in Arizona, and I like definitely feel like, because my folks have a place out there, and I'm like, well, the next time I go, I'm gonna go and punish him about him making his little Lego refrigerator and all like the 17 videos he made about it. So yeah. But yeah, what about for you? What's your, what's a perfect
Come
zone
downtown.
out? Yeah.
Lately I feel like I've had none of it because of like moving and like just getting acclimated to like a new space. Like I'm looking at stacks of boxes and stuff like that. I think it was before the interview started, I mentioned to you that I set up my fucking computer and I looked at the wall behind me and I was like, oh shit. So I just like slapped up a fucking no warranty.
No core points.
This isn't gonna exist here. My fiance will kick my fucking ass. It needs to be in my riff room. But no, my come down lately has just been like after a day of work, take the dog on a walk. I've been trying to do like no headphones, like no music, no podcasts, like nothing. Because if I do, I'm like my brain is still on. It's like still turning.
Yeah.
I can't like just like come down a little bit. Sometimes the walks don't chill me out because my dog's a fucking psychopath. She's 1-year-old pit bull. But that or I like to like tinker around. I like to like build shit, which you might consider that still being creative, but like kind of weird, like the Lego thing. Like I love woodworking. I love doing that kind of stuff. Weirdly cleaning,
Cleaning is therapeutic for you.
Yeah. I'm like a fucking weird freak where like if my surroundings aren't where I'd like them to be, like if things aren't neat and organized the way that in my brain they should be, I'm constantly like on edge. So right now I'm not sleeping.
Yeah, because there's like so many boxes.
Yeah. But yeah, man, our new place is fucking cool. We're the beach in Milwaukee, like the main waterfront area is like a block that way. So literally like a movie. I walk my dog on the beach every day. It's been dope.
Yeah,
man.
That's beautiful.
To answer your question, I'm never not stressed out. So
yeah, there's I don't know. It's a weird thing with people that can apply all of that hyperactivity and all the ideas and pour that into bands. But like, I'm definitely learning now that like if you're not actually taking time to recharge the batteries, like that affects anything that you're trying to output. So I can't just be a fucking mindless machine and just pushing out podcasts and sets. Like, I'm trying to find a weird balance, and I honestly think that I've swung a little too much in one direction, and I'm kind of needing, I'm kind of coming back where it's like, okay, now we're kind of in the middle here.
Me and you, Spencer, we're gonna get that condo in Florida. We're gonna snowbird down there for a month a year. Just kidding. Have some.
There should be hardcore houses like that are set up just for dudes and dudettes in the scene, just for chilling.
I don't know if there's any that exist that don't have shows at them that aren't Rusty Gazelle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not even public knowledge. It's literally an ask a punk kind of setup.
Do you have like a lounge that we could just like hang out at? It's like Starbucks-esque, but like a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, I think we've hit on it all. And, I think the beautiful thing of our conversation here, at least in my eyes, is like, this has never felt like an interview per se. It just feels like two dudes just catching up outside of the gig. Yeah. And I love that. I think that really makes for a good combo, and just great to hear that things are going super well for you.
Yeah, likewise, man. You're fucking crushing it, man.
Crushing, doing the shit, who's to say?
Yeah. Well, I'll be seeing you soon, right? I'll be seeing you at Hold Your Ground.
Yeah, very, very soon.
We're gonna slam some seltzers, baby.
Dude, I'll give you one of these. I'll bring some to that gig. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah.
Before we go, we have to end every podcast, as you know, with a mosh story. I'm trying to recall what mosh stories were told on your last one. I feel like you had a good story, but
dude, I have one that just happened to me.
Okay.
Great timing. So, 2 days ago at the Milwaukee Summer Jam, it's like a showcase that happens. World A played. Crazy show. Tom Hively, who you've had on, he helped put it on, and it was fucking incredible.
Sorry, I just want to say I loved the Costco photos pre that show.
Yeah, dude. I was bummed out. I had to work for the first half of it. Came straight from work, hungry as hell. There was not a dog left in that place.
The
place
dogs went quick.
Dogs, man. But so this band, Infamy from here, was headlining the show with their EP release, and there was some of my best friends, Adam, who plays guitar in that band, played in low end.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah, we just had Colin. He was on for like a little mini interview. When we were featuring a track from that record. Fantastic band. The fact that they played second at Hold Your Ground last year, and I was like, who the fuck is this band? They're crazy.
Not to derail from the story, but like It's Brian, who sings in that band. He's a really good friend of mine. He, before every Infamy set, he is like just anxious mess. He is really nervous he's not like a very like outgoing, outspoken dude. If you're that and front of band, it's fucking terrifying.
Sure.
So he's always like a fucking mess. But yeah, I saw him right before the set, and he's just like, "I'm so fucking nervous, dude. I don't know what the fuck to do." I'm like, "You guys are gonna crush." It's gonna be. Yeah, so they were headline. And World of Hate played right before them. I was like a sweaty mess, but I was like, I'm gonna fucking dust some cobwebs off and throw a fucking spin kick or two out there, into the world. And so I'm moshing, and there's this girl. I learned her name was Angie. She's a friend of the singer of Enervate, Lon. She was also moshing.
Okay.
And she was spin kicking pretty fucking hard. And
just for this set or throughout the day?
Just for Infamy, from what I saw. We were like in the pit together. And shame on me for assuming this, but I saw her coming towards me. I'm like, it's not gonna suck that bad. And she fucking lights my ass up. She spin kicks me right to the jaw, and I drop like a sack of fucking rocks. She got me so good. And like, maybe in the moment I was just like, yeah, like it's not gonna be that bad, brother. She got some fucking power.
Yeah.
And I landed on the ground, and I looked straight at a massive like shock, but also like laughing.
Yeah.
I looked at like Lon and my friend Emilio, and I was like, "Did you see that shit?" And they were just pointing and laughing at me, like, "Angie fucking got your ass, dude."
Right.
So, watch out for everybody in the pit.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be.
Angie's got some legs of power.
High ass spin kicks with some fucking power, dude.
Right.
It was funny. I mean, like, it's just funny because I wrongfully assumed that it wouldn't suck, and then I was on the ground thinking about how much that sucked.
Yeah. You were like the one in you were like the character in the anime being like, "Stand my ground," And
yeah, dude. That's my most recent funny mosh story, I think.
Yeah, I would say that's recent and fresh off the dome, so I think it's good.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, I'll have to check if you told another story on your first one where you got your shit rocked as well, or if you rocked.
I think the first story I told was when I just fucking lit Mitch up super hard.
Yeah. So now the scales are balanced,
Yeah. Well, I've gotten my ass kicked in most mosh pits. I'm not a very good mosher. I don't really hit that hard. Man, motherfuckers be hitting, and I'm like I was talking the other day about this too. Like, I'm at the point in my life where I have nothing to prove to anybody, and shit just fucking hurts. Like, I'm such a bitch, dude. Like, I hate getting tattooed. Like, it's not great. I hate being in pain of any kind. So yeah, man, I mosh so sparingly now because getting hit sucks.
Getting hit does suck.
Yeah, you see the shit? Fucking bruiser. Yeah, I bruise like a peach too.
Man.
But anyway, I appreciate
Anyways,
it was good seeing you, dude.
Yeah, there is one other thing, because the last time we spoke on our first episode was heavy low end conversation.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I need to make sure, because I saw something on the IG stories like a month ago on the low end side. I was like, what's going on? Is there anything that you can say, or is it still we have to keep it quiet?
We don't have anything in the canon. I think I don't know, it's a weird thing. I've been trying to do low end stuff for a while, but between Enervate happening with Sean and Adam playing, Judiciary happening, and Take Offense happening, all of us are kind of like doing our own thing. Like the fact that Cross Me is on this show is fucking insane to me. Because Tyler is the singer of Cross Me is an elusive man. He's hard to like track down and get a hold of, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like last time Crossing played in Milwaukee, he was like, yeah, I'll be there, and rode his motorcycle up from fucking Denver. Like, just pulls up, is like, what's up? Like, you didn't even tell me you're coming. I wasn't even sure you'd be here. But no, low end, I'd love to do more stuff with it. It's like I really miss singing in a band in that way. But yeah, I'm sorry to blue balls you.
No, that's fine. I don't know if it was just a miss story upload or something. I think first I was just like, oh, question mark.
I think I remember reposting that because somebody tagged a picture of like a live set, and I think I was like, oh dude, I look sick in that picture.
Yeah, it was like, no secret plans. It was just like, damn, I look good, let me send that out. And everyone's like, oh, new record? You're like, no, sorry everyone.
Mitch, if you're listening, let's play some shows, dude. Spencer, let's do it, dude.
We will.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Maybe we should also do like, if Cross Me's turning 10, maybe I have to hit up your elusive singer and see if we could do a special little episode about that.
Dude, a Tyler Murray episode on Scope Exposure would be awesome.
Okay.
He's a crazy guy.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could talk about that off air. Jamie, all your shit and for all your bands will be in the show notes in the description. Anything you want to plug, anything you want to shout out, or anything you want to send the people off with, the floor is yours.
Yes. World I Hate, Years of Lead is out everywhere, streaming everywhere. Listen to it to the back song because it's 12 minutes of awesome. And Judiciary Flesh and Blood is also out, streaming everywhere. Listen to that shit front to back because we worked really fucking hard on it, and it rocks. I think both
records. What's the runtime compared to the World I Hate?
Judd record?
Yeah.
Judd record's like, I think 30 plus. But like, that's some like thematic take you for a ride.
That's a movie, not a Netflix, sitcom length of time.
If we're comparing it like that, the Judiciary record is a movie. It's Shawshank, right?
Yep.
The World I Hate record is like Vine videos of like cars crashing. Both are interesting in their own way, but you should definitely look into both those. Very proud of both records, and I love everybody in both bands very much.
Jimmy, this has been a fantastic chat. I feel remiss that we have not been able to cross paths a lot sooner than I would like, but I hope that changes in the next, hopefully the next time I see you isn't the third time that you're on the podcast. It's just at a gig or something of that magnitude.
We're gigging together soon, man. I appreciate you having me.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. I'm very much looking forward to seeing World I Hate finally and Judiciary, because we got to break this Judiciary Canada curse one way or another. So
it'll be fun. I appreciate you having me on, man. It was great seeing you.
Absolutely. You're welcome anytime.